What's up, YouTube? Phoenix here. Sorry that it's been a minute. I have been preoccupied by other things, other personal events in my life. Um, but I do have a third Skyrim video coming out. All the data is in my working computer, the one I'm talking on right now. I just need to compile it and put it together. So I just wanted to try and continue the weekly upload schedule. I probably won't be doing Skyrim videos the whole time. I will be intermittent between other things because I have lots of things to talk about. There's a lot of things that I would like to share with the internet, and so that is what I'm going to be doing. So don't expect consistency with me. I've been on YouTube for a while, not on this channel, on other channels that I sort of, decided to delete because I didn't know what I was doing, but I know what I'm doing now. So anyway, let's get this thing started. So perhaps a little bit about me. I guess in terms of video games, this is my favorite. It's hard to say that because I don't like it that much, but it's so habitual for me that like I play the game almost every night, sometimes just to go to sleep too, except when I'm making for videos, obviously. But I play the game to like relax. Usually it's just like creating characters, just like playing with the settings and everything. But for some reason, it's been what, uh, 11 years, and I still play it unmodded, might I add. I play it. I don't know why I do. I'm just, I guess, very comfortable with it. So, I, your guess is good as mine. So, I guess in terms of Skyrim builds, my favorite is not what I'm playing. I would say that my favorite uses Conjuration, Illusion, and Sneaking About, and Sneaky Sneak Stabby Stab, or using Archery. Especially if I have minions summoned, I like to step back and shoot. I do a little bit of that in the game, but it's he's level 89, so I'm really just using all the gear and assets at my disposal. Not really playing to a particular style. I just am using what I have, and it seems to be working so far. So, other than Skyrim, I also enjoy Fallout 4. I know that a lot of fans love and hate that game. It's a mixed bag, shall we say, for the Fallout community. And I'm aware that Bethesda just released a Fallout video on their YouTube channel talking, I guess, about its legacy, which is funny because I don't think they have any right to really talk about it in terms of, well, like morally speaking. Legally, they can do whatever the heck they want, but morally speaking, they don't, because that flagship has been, they obviously they acquired it back in 2000 and what was it, 2004 when they acquired the IP, and then they basically kind of they gave what was it, I get them confused between Interplay and Black Isle Studios. But they gave whichever one was the surviving company. It's like, oh yeah, well guess what? You can make a Fallout game, but it's in name only. You can't use any of the assets or any of the lore. You could just make it in name only. So obviously they didn't, and then the deal in which the time they had to make it fell through, and so then Bethesda's like, "Oh, oopsie, you didn't make it in time, so I guess it's ours now." Fuck you. So yeah, I don't think they really have the rights to say anything from a moral standpoint. Obviously, legally they can do whatever they want, and that's all great and fun. So the games that I like Minecraft. Don't really like playing with that many people. I like exploring it by myself. Really big fan of playing games either by myself or just with a close friend or something. Not really into the MMO stuff or just running into random people online. It's not really my thing. Other than that, I enjoy Terraria. I enjoy Command and Conquer, a game series which has long been in my history. And prior to Skyrim, my touted favorite video game was Tiberian's Son. Joe Kukin, I love you. My bucket list is to meet you one day. Much love, my friend. Much love. Glory to Kane. Oblivion was my first foray into the Elder Scrolls. Jeez, that pun. Seriously though, it's what really got me into the Elder Scrolls and to learn about Bethesda. It was introduced to me by an old friend of mine, and I at the time had a very skeptical perception of the fantasy genre as a whole, but also in video games. The Lord of the Rings games were my only real experience. I played Dungeons and Dragons once at around that time. This was during the 2000s. The one thing that kind of put me off about a lot of these fantasy games is how restrictive it seemed to be. I'd heard of WoW, pretty sure at that point, and how everything was so class-based, and even like weapons. Like if you weren't a certain class, or if it was a certain level, you couldn't use it, and it bothered me a lot. And when I expressed my concerns to my friend, he was like, I have a game for you. And then he started talking about Oblivion, and he was like, yeah, it's a classless system. You can pick your own skills, you can use any weapon that you want, any spell, so long as it's like you're leveled up enough to use it. And that blew my mind. I had heard of Morrowind from another friend of mine, but I was even more skeptical at the time that he told me. And it especially alarmed me when he told me that he stayed up for 2 days straight playing it. That got me to be really concerned about whether I should pick it up or not, because I was a bit more superstitious at that time. But I didn't associate Morrowind with Oblivion, at least right away. It took me a minute to figure out that they were part of the same series, but I did eventually figure that out. So I started with Oblivion, and then I played Skyrim, and then I played like a bit of Morrowind, but the dice rolling in first-person thing was a massive turnoff for me. I mean, as far as the graphics were concerned, I mean, it's an old game. I've played old games, so that didn't bother me that much, but it was just, I had just gotten used to, when my weapon swings through the enemy, there's some damage dealt, and there's at least an impact felt or something, and I was not getting that satisfaction with Morrowind. That said, I've watched a lot of videos on the mechanics and how it's designed, and I appreciate the level of detail that went into the designing of the system, and obviously the variety of weapons and armor, and the uniqueness of the unique items. They were actually unique, not just in name only, but also in aesthetic, as well as their effects and everything. There's a lot that Morrowind can do, and I have a lot of respect for it, but I guess I'm spoiled, and I really just want my sword to hit when it hits something. So yeah, I'd call myself a video gamer, but I have lots of responsibilities at the moment and for the foreseeable future, so I play them sparingly. A lot of my energy and focus, aside from family and work things, is into a universe and role-playing system that I'm actually writing myself. And once it's a bit more established, I will happily share it with you. I'm playtesting it with some friends of mine in town, and it seems to be going pretty good, I guess. I have this habit of writing things and then scrapping most of the ideas and starting over and then writing them again, and especially when it comes to mechanics, just like writing tables and charts over and over and over and over again. It's like an obsessive thing for me. I like to compare myself to J.R.R. Tolkien in this case, because as one of his associates described him when he was writing The Lord of the Rings, was that it was like waves going against the beach or the shore, that each time the waves would get further and further, but they would go all the way back, and he would start over again. And that's how he did things. He would write up to a certain point, and he would just start completely over and write it again, and then start completely over and write it just a little bit more. Well, it seemed to have worked, hasn't it? Because, it's legendary, literally. In terms of other interests, I do like to read other role-playing games to get ideas on what I'm going to be writing. Also, uh, collect Magic cards. I know how to play the game. I just like to collect them more, especially for the artwork. That's just beautiful art and it means a lot to me. And the system is very solid. Um, in terms of card games, I started on Pokemon back in the late 90s, and then I moved on to Yu-Gi-Oh! During my high school days. And while Yu-Gi-Oh! Does have a special place in my heart, I lost interest and was away from it for a long time. And then recently I went to a comic store to buy some more cards, and I realized that, yeah, 20 years can change a system quite a bit. And there's a lot of changes that I'm not familiar with. And the fact that the cards come with only 9 cards per booster pack, when Magic comes with more, and it's a way more balanced system, and each card is actually useful. I'm sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, you hold a special place in my heart, but Magic's just all around better. Yeah, at least for my taste. I like a system where every component is useful, where nothing is wasted. A very efficient, oriented kind of person, creator, artist. In terms of other hobbies, sorry, camera's confusing my sense of direction. I play different instruments. Been a big, passionate follower of music for a while. I do have an education actually in audio engineering, so I've recorded bands, have experience in that. Fortunately, that side of me did not work out, but that is okay because it's helped me to focus more on this stuff. And even when I was going to the music school, my role-playing ideas, my game ideas were like in my head, and I was constantly thinking about it, creating doodles and everything. So it was like always on my mind, and I've decided to kind of just go with what I seem to be drawn to. And this is what I seem to be drawn to. It's what consumes a lot of my imagination when I have the time to think about it. So I just want to finish off by talking about one more thing, and that's, I guess, my first big stand uh, on this channel is that I highly value mental health. This year of 2022 has been has had a massive impact on my life, and getting help through therapy, and for me going on walks and meditating, which for me is just going on walks and talking to myself, or to my God, that has been very, very helpful, and it is incredibly important to me. So when I'm not thinking of game stuff, when I'm not doing this, and when I'm not fulfilling my other responsibilities, that's usually what I'm doing, is trying to take care of myself. Because in the words of the movie Princess Bride,
you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
Anyway, that's all from me today, folks. I have been your host, Phoenix, and I look forward to catching you on the flip side. Live long and prosper.